Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, and I am worn. Through the storm.
This is your bladder, and this is your baby right here. He's jumping for you. Look at him.
Wow, I can't believe how developed he is. Look at him move.
Yeah, he's been well developed since 8 weeks. He's had all his parts. Look at him. Oh, look at you.
How come I can't feel that?
You won't until the 4th month, but he's been moving in there since 8 weeks. He's got a whole lot of room in the womb to move.
Hello everyone, welcome to Love Them Both. This is the unique talk show on abortion, the sanctity of life, and supporting issues. We encourage you to keep a pen and paper handy during the shows, during our shows, for we'll have telephone numbers on the screen, telephone numbers for pregnancy, for help with pregnancy support and for unexpected pregnancies, where you can get help for abortion recovery, counseling. On the screen, we'll have public service announcements, in which numbers will also appear, telephone numbers. And in the closing credits, there will be telephone numbers that may enter information. There's information in the closing credits where you can contact us. I note that we have an email address now there, in fact, a new email address where I can be emailed. The email address is called lovethemboth.tv@juno.com. lovethemboth.tv@juno.com. So keep a pen and paper handy. We always advise you. If you or someone you know is being pressured to have an abortion, then consider these things. When a girl's parents are forcing her to have, pressuring or coercing or forcing her to have an abortion, regardless of how young she is, she has a legal right. A child, even under 18, underage, has a legal right not to have an abortion. And so she has a duty, while the 10 Commandments plaque behind me on there contains the commandment to honor your father and mother. This situation, the one time when a child has a duty to God and to her own baby is to resist her parents, is when they want her to do a wrong thing, such as trying to force her or scare her or coerce her into having an abortion. If you stand up against your parents, the law is on your side. They have to back down, but you have to be strong. Don't do it alone. Don't try to do it alone. Reach out for support and advice by contacting one of the pregnancy care centers in the numbers that run throughout our show. Basically, in that situation, experience has proven that the task of a child is for the child to stand up against the parents until the parents, basically, once the parents accept it, that you're going to have a baby, that's your goal, to hold out, to stand up to your parents until they accept it. Once they accept it, they will be glad that they did. They will be glad, they will thank you because you're protecting their grandchild. And I know I've met a number of people in counseling situations where the parents some years later regret that they forced their child to have an abortion. But it's too late now. It was things that happened years ago. And I've seen also in actual counseling situations where when a girl did stand up against her parents and forced them to accept it, they put up quite a fight for a while, but the mother did. But once she accepted it, before that baby was born, she was looking forward to her grandchild. So the key is for the child to hold out until the parents accept it. Even if you have to get out from underneath their roof for a while, for which you can find advice and counsel and assistance through the numbers on the counseling center that we have in our show. If you know someone, as I said, who is being pressured to have an abortion, then consider these things. Under Pennsylvania's Abortion Control Act, a pregnant young woman cannot be forced to have an abortion unless there is a medical emergency, such as if your life truly is endangered. But now you have to do some things. You must refuse to sign any documents provided by your parents or a clinic which might show that your consent to any abortion or any certification any certification that have been provided for you. You must refuse to sign any documents. Also, advise every medical or clinic person with whom you have contact that you do not want the abortion, that you do not agree with the abortion, and that you will sue if the abortion goes forward. This takes some courage for a 13-year-old or a young girl to do, but the law provides this judicial bypass for you. You do have legal rights. You should be prepared to remind any doctor who tries to proceed without your consent that even though you are under 18 years of age and even though you are not emancipated, because they will try to tell you these things probably, you have rights under the Abortion Control Act and do not want the abortion, and that the doctor will be reported to the State Board of Medicine or the State Board of Osteopathic Medicine to have his or her license suspended, and because the abortion is without your informed consent, that his or her action is criminal and will be reported as such. If you feel that your parents or guardians or persons with temporary parental authority over you, such as if you are in a foster home or a group home as a ward of the states, if you feel that they're forcing you to have an abortion, you can ask for the address and phone number of the county courthouse to ask for the Court of Common Pleas in your county to make them stop so you can keep your baby. You could also, you can ask directly for the county courthouse number from these individuals, from these guardians, but you can also call information on the telephone and ask for the Court of Common Pleas that way. You should know that there are no filing fees, and the court will provide you with a lawyer. These are your rights under the law. The court will be required to give the matter expedited consideration and grant appropriate relief to prevent the coercion. That means the court will handle your situation immediately and stop people from pressuring you. If you refuse to have an abortion and your parents cut you off financially or kick you out, you will be able to seek assistance benefits from the state. As I said, many pregnancy care centers can help you get out from underneath their roof for a while. In most cases, this will blow over once your parents calm down and accept the situation. So the vision for our show is to help individuals and such as viewers in the audience or people that you know find counseling and support through the counseling numbers and abortion recovery also with actual unplanned pregnancies on the personal level, but also on the social level or the sociological level. Our goal is to inform the public on a different level how you can help, so you can help affect positive social change. With that, we're going to we're going to present two public service announcements in a moment, two important messages. There will be a phone number in one of the public service announcements about underage girls and child predators. If you wish to receive more information about that subject, there's a toll-free phone number where you can get free information on that. So get a pen and paper handy, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Abortion is the #1 killer of African Americans. Abortion kills more blacks than all other deaths combined. Since 1973, more than 40 million unborn children have been legally killed in this country. Of those, more than 14 million of them were black. African American women make up only 13% of American women of childbearing age, yet 35% of all abortions are performed on black women. The abortion rate among black women is 3 times higher than that of white women. At this rate of abortion, our future looks dim. Join me. Take a stand against this devastating atrocity. Abortion kills. We must protect all of our children, no matter how small their bodies may be. I'm Day Gardner, Director of Black Americans for Life.
Email bal@nrlc.org.
America is experiencing an epidemic of adult men sexually exploiting underage girls. Today, a junior high school girl is more likely to become pregnant by an adult than by a boy her own age. In fact, when girls 15 or under get pregnant, over 60% of the time it's by an adult. Call 1-800-800-LIFE and find out how money taken out of your paycheck is funneled into organizations that protect the pedophiles who prey on these girls. The report and the call are free. The number is 1-800-800-LIFE.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we have an unusual topic that we don't often discuss on this show. It's a very misunderstood topic. We're going to talk about a misunderstood tool of moral education, which has become the lightning rod for political correctness, even attacked by many who say they are opposed to abortion and yet would want to conceal what abortion actually is. Our topic today is going to be graphic pictures of aborted babies, abortion victims. We will be showing a video of the Face the Truth tour of showing several graphic pictures of aborted babies later in the show, toward the end of the show, and possibly 1 or 2 graphic pictures in our discussion. We will discuss them. So. Would like you to know that we will be showing some graphic pictures expect to be showing some graphic pictures during the show today, and you may want to use parental discretion. I believe that adults should be willing to face the truth and confront abortion, the reality of abortion, head on. So, but you may want to use parental discretion. Our guest today is Mr. Bob Newman. He's the organizer of the Pittsburgh Face the Truth tour, which you may have seen around the busy intersections, some of the busy intersections in the metropolitan area over the past, I believe, 2 years or so, 2.5 years, every so many months, perhaps 6 months. Bob is what was originally a native of New York. He's been a Pittsburgher for a long time now. He's a retired sales representative, has been married, 52 years by now?
Just about, right?
52 years, father of 11 children and 31 grandchildren. So I want to welcome you. Thanks for coming to our show today.
Thank you, Bill.
I guess the first question would like to ask you is maybe if you could tell us a little bit about the Face the Truth tour, the video, the 11-minute video we're going to see at the end of the show today. What is the Face the Truth tour?
Bill, the Face the Truth tour is an attempt to educate people on what abortion really is. People have heard the word abortion, of course, for years, but there are an awful lot of people who don't realize that abortion painfully kills an innocent human being. The Face the Truth tour, in the use of graphic pictures on the street, tries to bring the reality of abortion to the average American. We have to go to the street because the media hide and sanitize what abortion really is. We're always hearing words like terminate a pregnancy, a woman's right to choose, women's health services, which is a phrase for an abortion mill.
Yes.
These are the kind of things that put people to sleep
The
about
language
abortion.
conceals the reality of the abortion.
Exactly
Instead
right.
of makes it clear what it is, it does just the opposite.
That is exactly right. And we feel that abortion, in taking the life of an innocent unborn baby, cheapens all human life.
Yes.
I'm at the age where the rolling storm of euthanasia even concerns me because it's being accepted in several states. And the other interesting statistic is that since abortion was made legal, child abuse has actually increased. One of the objections, the real objections to people about showing these graphic pictures is, actually there are two. What about a woman who has had an abortion?
Well, let's save that a little bit. I have a question for you
Okay,
about
fine.
that.
The other is, our children are seeing these pictures, and they shouldn't have to see this terrible picture. We have found, and we've got a lot of experience, that
Well, you have 11 children, 31 grandchildren, I think.
So that's experience. We have found that on the street, if the parents are not visibly upset, you know, we have parents with small children who come up to us and start cursing at us with their child. They're using terrible language, which always amazes us, saying their child shouldn't see this blankety blank stuff. We have found that if the parent does not get visibly upset, the child does not get upset. The child accepts the fact.
The parent's attitude toward abortion has a lot to do then with how how we expect the child to react to it. I know that there are many. What about the well-adjusted children in the Face the Truth tour who come out with their parents to hold the graphic pictures? It does not bother them because the parents have taught them.
That's right. That's right. We have also tried to say to people, if your child says, you know, what is this? You certainly can say, well, some children die before they're born. You don't have to go into great details with a 3 or a 4-year-old child. But tell the child that you love the child and that they're well and they're healthy.
Well, if the parent, again, I come back to the parent's attitude toward abortion is going to be something the parent should well consider. If the parent is opposed to the abortion and the child sees that, then the child knows that he or she is secure.
Right.
But if the parent is not, if the parent supports abortion, wants to be pro-choice, quote unquote, well, the child, what is the child left to think? I mean, the responsibility really comes back more on the parent, not on us for showing them the picture.
Exactly right, Bill.
I want to say about graphic pictures that we've used graphic pictures only sparingly in this show because they are powerful. I feel, this is my philosophy, that a little goes a long way. To get this information, once we get it into an individual's knowledge, we can then augment that with knowledge about the sanctity of life, about related issues, about abstinence education, about the effect of abortion on women, on aborted men, the terrible psychological and emotional consequences it has on them for the rest of their lives. There are other issues that we can bring into play. But my belief is that abortion pictures cannot be neglected. They cannot be left out of the equation, as many some well-meaning pro-life persons would like to do. I just don't. I'm a teacher by trade, and it does not make sense to me to try and teach a subject and leave out the subject, the very thing you're trying to teach. I think I don't believe that type of thinking is correct.
We have had people come up to us and say, you don't have to show these. Everybody knows what abortion is.
That's not true.
But I'll tell you, Bill, when we see a young woman either go by in a car or walk by and take a look at a picture of a baby that we call Malachi, and this young girl's mouth drops and she looks at that picture, that is a message that I think she'll keep with her for the rest of her life.
This picture of Malachi is going to be in the Face the Truth tour video we're going to see at the end of the show, right?
Right.
I wonder if the control room, if you could bring up the Malachi picture. I again warn the audience that this is a graphic picture, but it is reality. You know, sometimes we just have to deal with what is. We didn't make it this way. We don't like it this way, but it is this way. So if you can bring up the the picture of Malachi. I just wanted to ask Bob if you could give us a little bit of personal history of this picture, who's behind, you know, who it is, what we know about the baby.
Yes, Bill. There is a whole story, the history of Malachi. This little boy was found frozen in a jar outside of an abortion mill in Dallas, Texas in 1993. The baby, they took the baby to an OBGYN in Dallas. The doctor's name was Dr. Patrick McCarty, good name for St. Patrick's Day. He put the pieces together, Bill, and the people who were there as he was doing this, including the doctor, they all wept at the sight of this life that once was, as they say, and is no more. They photographed Malachi and blew it up into a large poster. As it says, again, in Hebrews 11:4, he still speaks even though he is dead. The baby was named Malachi because Malachi means my messenger. And once again, even though he is dead after an extremely short life, his message is carried to thousands and thousands of people.
I see.
Now, just to finish, when people say, well, that picture is disgusting and you shouldn't show it, we come back and say the picture of Malachi has never caused an abortion. But that picture of Malachi being shown out on the street, can't get it into the newspapers, get it on television generally, Malachi has saved
lives.
Thousands and thousands of lives.
Because of women who've seen the picture and have decided not to have an abortion because of they face the reality
of what it really is.
The picture conveyed to them the reality of what abortion is, what it does, which is left out of the media. It's left out of the schools. Even the churches are really not conveying the truth about this.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Let me ask you this about women. Do graphic pictures harm women, hurt women, not harm them, but do they hurt women who've had abortions?
Oh, of course, that's a good question, and I was going to touch upon it earlier, that the women who have had an abortion are often in painful denial. Now, when people come up and say, women who've had an abortion shouldn't see these pictures, they will hurt them terribly. We have many women on the Face the Truth tour who have had abortions.
Yes, many women in the pro-life movement.
Who have had abortions.
Perhaps half of the people in the pro-life movement.
I saw on your show some time ago the organization called Silent No More with George Ed Forney, where these women have said, I've got to come out and say that I regret my abortion.
Well, the reality is that these graphic pictures do not cause the hurt to the women who've had abortion because they're already hurting.
Exactly.
And what the graphic picture does, it presents them with the opportunity, the challenge to face the pain, because many people suppress this for a long, long time. And something's wrong. They develop drinking problems, drug problems to ease the pain. They may not even be conscious of what it is. So women who've had abortions and have adverse reactions to the pictures, they are already suffering. And the picture really challenges them to face their pain, because the healing process cannot begin until you face the problem, till you face the pain. And I know just in my experience in life over the years is it takes more energy to hide a problem from yourself than it does to solve it. You know,
once you accept it,
but
and of course
these fears build up so big in our mind that we don't think we can solve it.
I remember hearing Georgette Forney here talking about the fact that she had to tell her teenage daughter for the first time that she had had an abortion, and it just was terrible for her, but she got through it, and of course she has asked for forgiveness and been forgiven.
Well, one of the good things, again, I refer to the Ten Commandment plaque on our wall behind my back there, that God is the Ten Commandments, and they guide us. He gave them to us to guide us, tell us right from wrong, and He also gives them to us because they're going to condemn us. They're the standard by which we're going to be judged. But the good news is that God is also, this same God is also, is marvelously the God of the second chance. So that these same women can learn that Christ died for their sins when they face their pain, acknowledge it, confess it to God, and repent. And turn around and go the other way, they can be relieved of that burden and go on and live a new life.
Exactly. Right.
So it's a very, it's a very marvelous thing. This show is not a religious show per se, but we feel that we try to speak the truth on abortion and all of these issues. And if my belief, philosophy is, if you're going to be speaking about the truths, at times you have to talk about God. You can't leave them out. And so but I don't, again, we don't consider this a religious show per se.
Bill, could I mention one other thing about the Malachi picture and Malachi the boy? A little aside on having found Malachi at that abortion mill and taking the picture and putting it into a poster. The people that found him had a funeral for him right in the grand portico of the City Hall in Dallas, Texas. And when they started the funeral procession, people in the City Hall went to the police and said, "You've got to stop that." A Captain Kowalski said to his superiors, "I am not going to interfere with this funeral of a small child." And he said, "And I'm not going to let anybody else interfere with this funeral."
A wise man.
Captain Kowalski is the same chief who arrested pro-lifers many times when they were out in the street. But he saw the truth and he saw what had to be done, and by allowing that funeral to continue, Malachi began his ministry of showing the truth.
I see. Wonderful. That's interesting. Graphic pictures are a lightning rod today, right now, for political correctness. But historically, they are a rather standard tool of moral education, aren't they?
Yes.
They have been used when we, in our history books or in history, when we look at the Nazi concentration camps, the stacks of the gaunt bodies of victims of the Nazi concentration camp, whether they were Jews or whether they were Poles or whether they were Gypsy. These are graphic pictures. Yes. Now, they don't bother us today, and I think the reason, people don't get angry over them today. And it's interesting to contemplate, well, why do they get angry over the abortion graphic pictures? And I think the answer is that those pictures in the Nazi concentration camp do not condemn us. They were 60 years ago, 3,000 miles away, across the ocean in Europe, so we can sit back and condemn those people for doing these things. But the abortion pictures convict us. That is going on in our midst. We have to change, and it's not a settled issue. It causes controversy, so for various reasons, but people don't, it's the nearness of the issue to us, I think.
Bill, the average person during the Second World War and the Holocaust, the average person looked the other way. And the average person today says, "I'm against abortion, but it's really not my issue," and people are looking the other way. And we're killing 4,000 babies a day because people look the other way.
And another, I think, error that is made is people say, well, it's too big, what can I do? I'm against abortion, but it's too big, what can I do about it? Well, what I've discovered through pro-life activism, if an individual does, from his heart, begin to speak out for the weak, the defenseless, whether it's abortion victims, trafficking victims, or whomever it might be, that everything that's big in our world today started small. I can't think of any big institution today that started big. They started small by determined people, by determined ordinary people who found a new strength by their activism, almost like a second wind, if you want to make an analogy. And it grew. What one person can do can just grow beyond their expectations.
Yes.
There were, what about the Negro lynchings? Graphic pictures were used to show the limp bodies of lynched Negro men and women who hanging from trees. These photos still exist.
Oh yes, of course there is a book that I really don't know the exact title of, but it's something to the effect of photography of lynching in America.
Yeah.
And we have actually taken one of those photographs and blown it up into a poster for our Face the Truth tour. And a very interesting comment was made because at the top of that poster we had the word choice. But a gal named Mary Bedingfield, who is black, came up to me and said, you know what you should have at the top of that poster of that black lady being lynched? You should have the words non-person. Mm-hmm. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Because that's exactly what the Jews during the Holocaust were considered.
And that's what the aborted babies
are. And that's exactly what the aborted baby is considered, a non-person. You know, why worry about that? The child is not born. Who cares?
Yes.
Well, we've got to show that we care and that people have got to care.
Well, these the aborted pictures the pictures of aborted children are lightning rods for political reasons. When the media liked the cause during the Vietnam War, the liberal media and the communist front organizations like Students for Democratic Action, their allies in the liberal media piped in the graphic pictures from the Vietnam battlefields every day on the 6 o'clock news. And that undermined the ability of the United States to win that war. That is the power of graphic pictures. The only difference is that the media was on the side of they wanted to defeat that war. Today, the same liberal media doesn't want to defeat abortion, and so they're opposed to it. So it's very much a political lightning rod.
It's very hard to understand.
Can you give me? Do we have any examples of where graphic images, any more examples, have actually saved lives of unborn children?
We've had a number of cases. One or two specific ones. We were in Harrisburg. We've carried this Face the Truth tour from Pittsburgh down into West Virginia at the University of West Virginia. It was very interesting. And we made some great points down there. We've been in Washington, D.C. And across Pennsylvania.
You've been to Altoona, Penn State. You've been to New York City.
Penn State. We've been to New York City, all 5 boroughs. We've had some remarkable experiences. As a little aside, we were at Staten Island and holding the pictures of Malachi, and a college student and his friend came up and started spray painting the Malachi sign because he was so disgusted. And when I tried to stop him, he spray painted me all across my new jacket. Now the beauty of this, of all of this, is the spray paint was green and my jacket was green, so things always work out for the best. To answer your other question, we were on the State Street Bridge in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and a woman walked up to a lady who was holding Malachi, and she said, "What is that?" And this woman, her name was Carol Pittman, this woman said, "Well, that's a baby that was killed by abortion at 21 weeks. And this woman said, "I have 3 children, and my friends, I really can't afford another, and my friends have suggested that I have an abortion." And she looked at the picture and she said, "But I could never do that to my baby."
Well, we're going to see an example of this in the video of the Face the Truth for of a woman. The video was taped in Chicago, I believe.
Okay.
Who actually had that same experience, and when she saw what abortion actually is, what it actually does. I know I saw it at the McGee Women's Hospital in Pittsburgh, which is a great abortion center in southwestern Pennsylvania for a hospital where they do abortion, many second term, trimester abortions. I also saw it's now no longer the Women's Health Services. When it was on 5th Avenue, a young woman going in there passed one of our graphic posters and stopped and looked at it and said, "Well, I can't do that." And we talked to her a little bit, and she changed her mind. Even though she was a rape victim, she had been raped apparently in a date rape, but she still had a good heart. She couldn't pass the injury on to the innocent. In one more case like that, I saw a young woman not too long ago at Planned Parenthood on Liberty Avenue. Liberty and Smithfield Avenues in Pittsburgh. She came walking by, I say about 2 years, within the last year and a half or 2 years. She already had a child. She was single mother with a child, so she had her hands full, but she stopped and talked and looked at one of the posters, graphic posters, and said the same thing. I can't do that. And we gave her some information where she could get one of our pregnancy care centers where she could get some support to have her baby. And she did, and about 9 months later, she came walking by, as these girls often do, with a baby on a harness on the front, you know, with a towel covering it up to protect it from the weather. And she stopped by to show us what it was, how, you know, baby. And that was the incident where I told you about that, where the little boy was standing there, where, you know, sort of jealous over the newborn baby, which brings up a point Bob and I have discussed. When perhaps the way to, if you have other children in the family and you're bringing home a newborn baby or a new baby, instead of everybody rushing to make over the newborn baby right away, stop, take a few minutes and talk to the other child. Make over him for a while, and then go to the new baby. I mean, these childhood experiences can leave lasting impressions on people. Well, I want to make sure that we, whether we have about several minutes before it's time to show the video. You know, have we missed any points you would like to bring up?
Bill, there's another picture that we show in the Face the Truth tour, and it's a picture of a little girl. I hate to even say this.
This is the forceps picture.
It's
Again,
a
it's a very extremely graphic picture. We've put it in the video to bring it up on the screen from the control room. But I want to warn people, you know, that this is a very graphic picture, and you may want to exercise parental discretion. What is the history behind the forceps picture?
See, the history on that one is much less than it was on the Malachi picture. But that little girl, and it was a little girl, was killed by abortionist John Coleman in Houston, Texas. And her head was actually ripped from her body during the abortion and then thrown into a plastic bag and thrown out in an alleyway. She has no name. Nobody named it as they did Malachi. And it is just such a horrendous picture. If that wouldn't show people the horror of abortion, I don't know.
Well, it is ugly. It's probably, may very well be the ugliest one I've ever seen. It's so ugly, it reminds me, when I first saw that, of something they would make for a horror movie, except it's real.
It's true, yeah.
But she's known to God, and I'm sure that her day is coming, and the day when God judges us all for this is coming also, I believe. Well, the history between the Malachi picture, which we're going to see both of these pictures in the 11-minute Face the Truth tour video from Chicago, but they're individuals. They're not non-persons at all. Some of them may not have actually been named yet, but they are real individuals. And not non-persons.
And that is the purpose of the Face the Truth tour, to show people that they are individuals. These are just a couple examples, but people have got to realize that we're killing our own children.
Well, the use of language has made abortion a very abstract issue. Terms like termination of pregnancy, product of conception, they remove the baby from pregnancy.
That's right.
Back when I was growing up in the 1950s, if you would ask a child, you could ask a child, what's that in that pregnant woman's tummy? And they'd say, what? Well, it's a baby. In fact, I want to read an interesting quote about it, because we all know it's a baby. But by using this language, has been used to put a layer of deception over our own minds. There was an interesting quote, a very great admission of that, if I can find it here in my notes, from the California Journal, the Journal of Medicine of the American Medical Association. Here's what it says, and listen carefully to this. We have about 3 minutes to go. This was written, a quotation from 1970, California Medicine, and this kind of characterizes this strange deception we're in. Because they said there in the Journal of California Medicine, since the old ethic hasn't yet been fully displaced. Now, this was 1970. This was 7 years after Roe versus Wade. At that time, they thought abortion was coming in, and these 10 commandments behind me were going to be out and die forever. So they thought they were in a transition where the 10 commandments were going to be displaced, and abortion and the culture of death was going to become real. It says, since the old ethic hasn't yet been fully displaced, it has been necessary to separate the idea of abortion from the idea of killing, which continues to be socially abhorrent. We abhor killing, but we don't abhor abortion because they have succeeded in the abortion movement in separating these ideas. And I'll go on here. The result has been a curious avoidance of the scientific fact, which everyone really knows, that human life begins at conception and continues whether in the womb or out the womb. Okay, well, we're going to have to take the remainder of our time. Okay. I want to thank you for being here. It's been a great discussion. And we're going to, could you take a minute and introduce the Face the Truth tour for us, and then we'll go right into the video.
The Face the Truth tour video was put together by the Pro-Life Action League in Chicago, Joe and Ann Scheidler. It's very professionally done, and I think that you will really get the meaning of abortion when you look through the Face the Truth tour video.
Thank you. Could you run the video, please?
There's a curious requirement in the Catholic Church that above every altar in the center of the church where Mass is said, you have to have one of the most grotesque figures you can think of. A man beaten half to death, crowned with thorns, broken and torn, hanging on a tree, hanging on a cross. You got to have that. That's liturgically required, that we look at Jesus Christ crucified every time we go to Mass. Isn't that awful? Yeah, it is. But that's the reality of his sacrifice. Why can't we look at the reality of these children's deaths?
Face the Truth is a bold new public education initiative that brings the reality of abortion to the highways and downtown intersections of cities and towns across America, confronting those who have turned away from the tragedy of our age.
America is in a death ethic. We've killed 47 million children. That's unconscionable, and something has to be done. And we're doing what has to be done. We're showing America the face of abortion.
People don't see these pictures anywhere, do they?
This is the first time that 99% of the people have seen these pictures. So it's been an education.
We're a real visual society, and people need to see victims in order to empathize with them. And you see that with the Holocaust pictures that are in history books. You see it with the victims of starvation and war in third world countries now. You have to see what's happening to people in order to empathize and make a change, to make a difference.
People have said, is that really what an abortion is? They don't know it, and this really brings it to them.
People are not aware of the traumatic results of abortion, the horrible traumatic results.
And the pictures are tremendously effective. I know that because that's how I got in the pro-life movement. I saw a picture of what they do to babies, and I said, that is intolerable. I got to fight that.
To get people to think seriously and deeply about the value of human life, and when they're faced with a crisis pregnancy, remember they saw these pictures. What happens to that baby?
That's what we call this Face the Truth. The truth is abortion is ugly, it's murder, it's killing children, and the American people have to see it. So we're going to launch these efforts all over the United States.
So what are you doing here today?
Well, we're just showing people all the truth about abortion. We want to stand up and let people see it.
I'm educating people about what abortion is.
I believe that this abortion is really wrong, and we want to come out here and give our support today.
There's so many ways to fight the culture of death. Why do you consider this an important way?
Because this is the way that reveals that abortion is truly the killing of an innocent human being. Because these photos undeniably show human beings who have endured injustice. And there's no way of getting around that.
Even though these pictures horrify me, I think that without something like this, that
that we become complacent. Yeah, it's graphic, and it's really disgusting. When people say, oh, that's disgusting, I say, yes, it sure is disgusting. We have to do something to stop this. It's absolutely disgusting.
Do you think this is an effective way to do this?
It's one of many effective ways. I think taking it to the people, we've had a lot of good reactions.
Overwhelmingly a good response. Lots, like I say, lots of thumbs up. People saying, God bless you, what you're doing is right, this is marvelous.
I've been on this tour for most of the cities. They were saying to us, we're so glad you're here, it's about time.
Participants of Face the Truth stand with large signs depicting fetal development and abortions, while others distribute a variety of pro-life literature. The display is preceded by warning signs, so that those who wish to avoid seeing these pictures may take a different route. Volunteers hold their signs in position for a little over an hour, then move on to the next location.
It's very simple, just a matter of getting out and holding a sign up and being a witness for what is right and true.
I think that the people who have come have been really glad they did. They feel like they've made an impact. They've gotten reaction from people.
It's my privilege to be here.
They're willing to be out here and take the flack, but also see the good that this is doing.
It's been a real blessing to be a part of this. I just found out about it on Sunday, and I had the privilege of being at 2 locations yesterday.
I'm here because I feel like this is as much a Holocaust as what happened in World War II with the Jewish people.
And I would come all the time just to stand up for the little ones who have no one to speak for them but us.
Okay, if you can all come with me. Young man, I need your help.
Face the Truth is highly organized, peaceful, and legal, and it gets reactions from people on all sides of the issue.
We had a warning sign you could have turned.
What am I supposed to do? Turn out of my way just because you're holding a sign?
Yes, we gave you a warning. We gave you a warning.
I think if they're disturbed by it, it means that they're seeing the truth. This is what abortion really is, and I don't think a lot of people know how gruesome it really is.
It gets people who are outraged, many of whom are pro-abortion, because obviously there are people who believe abortion should be legal.
Doesn't bother you?
No, it doesn't. No. I just offer up a prayer for them.
Every woman has a right to choose their own destiny.
We don't have a right to murder.
Children do not need to see that.
It touches a chord in people that they don't want touched. We don't want to feel that. We don't want to recognize that that's really what's happening. And so we try and deny it. Yeah. And then we get mad at the people who portray it.
What about even pro-life people who are very upset by this and say you shouldn't be doing it?
Well, I know we've gotten the reaction that pro-life people say, we're with you, we're against abortion, it's a terrible thing, but how dare you show these vulgar pictures on a street corner and children will see them? And it's a serious concern. I think some people are legitimately asking that question, but we saved a baby's life yesterday. And if you're able to save a life by doing that, then forcing somebody to talk to their child about abortion is worth it.
How do you feel about your children being here and seeing these pictures?
Well, I feel strongly they should see it. They know some, I don't know how much they understand, but I think it's important for them to know now, while they're young, to learn what's right and what's wrong.
And what are you doing here today, Sarah?
Showing signs about babies dying.
Why are you doing that?
Because people have to know that abortion is bad.
We say, talk to your children about drugs, talk to your children about bad TV. Why not talk to your children about abortion?
It's gruesome, but I never heard of the Holocaust until I was 19 years old, and this is an important thing for them to know about as they're little, because it's happening right now.
Why are you here today, Elliot?
To stop abortion. This is truth. And they're not afraid to see the truth. They look and see it, and they have a new appreciation for them being born.
And it is indeed miraculous how quickly a few photographs displayed on a public street can bring about a change of mind, a change of heart.
Many things have happened that have been exciting. One of the most exciting happened yesterday in Rockford when a lady stopped, asked me what the pictures were all about, and I said, this is a baby that's life was ended in the 5th month by a D&E, which is the baby's dismembered in the womb, and she then proceeded to cry. And I asked her, is there anything I could do? And she says, well, I am pregnant and I have an abortion scheduled, but I didn't know what it was. She immediately expressed an interest to keep the baby then. We brought people together to help her through her pregnancy, to give her all the help that crisis pregnancy centers do. That was a tremendously uplifting experience for me.
The historians who have done studies on the Vietnam War, well, they say that the American public didn't start turning against that war until the media were bringing those photographs home, those visual images home of what this dirty, rotten, awful war was about. And that's what really turned the tide. And I think that that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to show the truth about abortion.
They're not going to see these pictures unless we stand out here and show them these pictures. They're not going to be in the papers. They're not going to be on TV. And there's just, we have to do it.
You have to be on the street and show the truth of abortion. That's the only way that the people are going to see it. You have to bypass the media, the press. They're not going to show a picture like this.
This is the way to strip the lie off of legalized abortion. The lie being that it doesn't kill an innocent human being. It most certainly does, and our pictures show that it does.
They're still under the impression it's just a lump of tissue, that it's not a real living human being with a soul.
We don't just sit back in our rocking chairs or wherever we are and say, well, abortion is bad, but there's nothing we can do about it. Everyone can take an active part.
All I can say is that this is the truth, and that you can't go ahead, you can't go on denying it forever and ever.
Abortion could have been stopped, could never have gotten where it is, if believing Christians had acted. Your actions flow from what you believe. If you really believe that abortion is killing a child, let's act like it. Let's get out there. Let's do something about it. And there is something to do.
Some people have come out for maybe a full day or 2 full days or 3 full days, and maybe they intended to come once and they thought, I'm coming back, you know, I really am glad I came.
In DeKalb, 2 people spontaneously joined the tour, parked their cars, came up and said, where's the signs? We want to join you. And one lady spent the whole day with us.
One man drove by and he said, I hope you let me know the next time you come to town, and I'll stand there with a sign. I said, why wait for the next time? Take the morning off and do it now. And he did. He parked his truck and he held a sign for the entire time.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, and I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. when my way grows drear. Precious Lord, linger near when my life is almost gone. Hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Take my hand, precious Lord.